So there's a guy by the name of Matt Orfalia, and he goes by the name Orf on Twitter. It's at 0RF. And he likes Bernie Sanders, and he decided that he was going to take his considerable editing skills, and he was going to make the most awesome Bernie Sanders ad you've ever seen in your life. Now, this ad is great not just because it shows how Bernie's been fighting for regular people, I mean, his whole career. This ad is also great because it really, really, really exposes corporate media bias against him. It uses juxtaposition beautifully, so you can see what Bernie's actually doing and what he's actually fighting for versus what a lot of overpaid hacks are telling you about him. So without further ado, let's take a look and then we'll discuss.
Bernie is back, getting into the presidential race.
Democrats like somebody new, and that is not going to be Bernie Sanders this time.
It's really hard to imagine who the Bernie Sanders voter is at this point.
Bernie Sanders, fall back. Please get away from us.
Senator, great to see you. Thank you for doing this.
He has a kind of gruff, curmudgeon-y side that is, of course, well known. He doesn't actually smile that much.
It's almost like Bernie can't tell the difference between kids and adults.
All right, I think you're dumb. I think you're dumb if you don't sit down and learn how to read and write. No, you were not born stupid. Come here. The only way I think you're dumb, I think when you think you're dumb, because you're not.
He also, I think you're disheveled, you're unlikable, and you're pushy, and I don't think you should be leading anybody.
Old is too old.
I think the issue is, do you seem like you're in the contemporary world? He's a socialist from the 1950s yelling at people in the same screechy voice, without smiling, without any kind of personal connection. He looked like the angry man in the center of the stage saying, "Get off my lawn." I don't think that's a good look for the Democratic Party.
I see him as sort of a not pro-woman candidate.
You may have heard the term Bernie bro.
The Bernie bro, right? Somebody who's a bit younger, whiter, I think, than the overall Democratic primary.
I'm with my magnificent vanilla brother named Bernie Sanders. That's Brother Bernie Sanders we talking about. That's Brother Bernie Sanders we talking about.
Socialism has been a manifest disaster.
Alec would still be here today if I had known that I could come to Canada.
Alex Smith died after trying to ration a vial of insulin when he couldn't afford more.
So his idea about, free health care, he has seen the manifest atrocities that have occurred under socialism.
$1,000 got me 6 months of insulin for my son. That's still less than what I pay a month in the United States.
Gloria Steinem has suggested that younger women are supporting Bernie Sanders so they can meet boys.
Hello, Bernie. We lost our condo, got foreclosed on because of my medical bills.
I don't understand young women who support him.
I trust that Bernie Sanders is going to fight for health care and to lower prescription costs.
Of all the presidential candidates, you're the one that I trust.
Thank you so much for what you're doing. You're just giving us help. Thank you. And we got your back.
I think he comes off as mean. I think he's disparaging.
I don't want to overpromise here.
Bernie Sanders makes my skin crawl, and I can't even identify for you what exactly it is.
Bernie Sanders has done nothing between 2016 and today.
Thank you for everything you've done these last few years. You've helped to reset our political discourse, and are demanding that we center our politics around justice and equity. I am hopeful because right now, there is a mass movement of people from all over this country, rising up.
Thank you all very much.
It ain't Bernie. It is us.
If we come together, we will win.
People always say, oh, you're being too vocal.
Hey, Bernie, you don't have to yell.
I don't feel I'm being vocal enough. We are not being vocal enough. When is enough enough?
He sounds very, very shouty.
Louder. Yeah, we gotta get louder. How many kids are gonna have to make this sacrifice and die? How can you sleep at night?
I'm gonna leave his video in the video description box. If you don't mind, just do me a favor, click through to that video, hit the like button, you know, drop in on the original video, give it a like, and share it as much as possible. Now, I tweeted this out. Somebody tweeted it at me. I wish I could remember who it was, because I'd like to give them credit. But somebody tweeted this at me. I saw it, watched it, immediately shared it, was floored by how good the ad is. And then Sean King, who follows me, saw the ad as well, and then he took the ad. I saw him like and maybe retweet, but it could have been just like my tweet on it. And then what he did is he uploaded it to Twitter itself. He credited Orf at 0RF, who created the video, and he said, "Wow, what a great ad." And so he uploaded it to Twitter. I had just shared the YouTube link, okay, but he uploaded it to Twitter. You ready for this? How many views did it get? And this is as of yesterday. It could have gone up way more by now. But as of yesterday, it had 5 million views. On Twitter alone. On Twitter alone. Now, when I saw his video on YouTube, it had about 8,000 views. Okay? And then I kept going back and checking it. Last time I checked, which was early yesterday, it'll be higher than that now. Last time I checked early yesterday, it was about 135,000 views on YouTube. His original video. So listen, this is spreading like wildfire. Why is it spreading like wildfire? Because it's powerful, and it's poignant, and it's correct, and it's true. And he's incredibly talented, and he did a wonderful job making this ad. When I watch that, I think, we can win this thing. We can definitely win this thing. There's a reason why this show has grown so much over the years, and it's not necessarily because I'm so good at my job. It's because they're so bad at their job. They meaning corporate media. I mean, they're really, 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 really bad. Really bad. Really bad. And you'll notice something, and this feeds into something I've been saying for a long time. I always said, my main arguments that I like to make are policy-based arguments. And what you saw there is what? All those hosts who were going after Bernie, it was always personality arguments, characteristic arguments. You know, I don't like him. He seems pushy and shouty. He's unlikable. He's disheveled. Who cares? Who cares what you think of him personally? Who cares about that? I mean, you could find people who, frickin' Ellen DeGeneres was just at a baseball game with George W. Bush. Now, I'm sure she'd say, oh, he's very likable. He's actually not disheveled at all and not pushy and shouty at all. Yeah, but he also happens to be a war criminal. He also happens to be one of the worst presidents in U.S. history. So I don't care about your character analysis. Why should I care what you, random person on TV, who I know nothing about, why should I care what you have to say about this guy, when really the thing that I'm voting for a politician based on is their proposed policies, their record, and their strategy moving forward in order to try to get said policies implemented. Why should I care about your, I don't think you should lead anybody. He's disheveled, he's pushy, he's unlikable. By the way, some of the people who were commenting there, like Jennifer Rubin, she's a Republican. I mean, this is so, you never see this work in the reverse direction. They never invite me on to, concern troll the Republican Party and say, I don't know, I think you guys are going too far in this direction. Why? Because it's viewed on its face as absurd because I'm not a Republican. So why would I be in a position like, oh, let me tell you the direction you guys should go in? Why would anybody listen to me? I mean, that's ridiculous. Why would you ask the opposition to criticize you and then you adopt the ideas of your opposition? No. I mean, that's like Jennifer Rubin. You want to criticize somebody, Go criticize the Republicans. Like, that's your party. But we're supposed to take seriously these concern trolls of like, I don't know about this Bernie Sanders fella. Well, that's wonderful. How about you hop on the bus and go to Shut the Fuck Upsville, because I'm not dealing with it, because you're not even in our party. How about Bernie Sanders should listen much more, as he does, by the way, to the Democratic base and to independents and to all these groups that have historically been on the sidelines and been marginalized. You know, we can build a winning coalition, man. We need a multiracial, multi-background coalition of working class people, and we can win this thing. And I'm sorry, but there's one candidate that's willing to fight this hard and who's right on this many issues, and his name's Bernie Sanders. Now, don't get me wrong. If you simply don't believe in a social democratic or democratic socialist vision, okay, if you're in the minority of Americans, because most Americans actually do agree with this agenda, whether they know it or not, but if you're in that small group that doesn't, support this ideology, it's fine to not support him. That's fine. Go right ahead. But if people were voting based off their best interests, it's not even a question. Like, these things are empirically judged. You can look at polling data which shows that his agenda that he's fighting for is massively popular. Most of the things he's pushing for are over 60% favorability rating. Never mind over 50, which would be strong enough. Most of the things are over 60% favorability rating. And this guy has been dealing with, you want to talk about fake news. Okay, Trump can whine all he wants, but you know what he does? He only trots that out when it's any story that's against him. Even if that story is true, he'll scream fake news because he's a self-serving moron. But with Bernie Sanders, this is the real fake news. It's against Bernie Sanders. The real fake news is glossing over his wildly popular agenda and his wildly successful record in order to act like he's not a serious person. When you see the hard work he's been doing, one of the moments that pissed me off the most there is when one was like, he's done nothing over the past few years. Are you kidding me? He's been building this grassroots behemoth and doing rallies all over the place and marching with working people, with unions, going to Canada to get cheaper insulin with people who need it. Did you know in the U.S., a vial of insulin could go for $360, and it's like, I forget the exact number, but it's like a fraction of that in Canada. A fraction of that. And it only costs like a couple dollars to make. But, we're getting screwed over in this country because Big Pharma's screwing us. Who do you really trust to take on the pharmaceutical companies? How about the person who's been fighting them his entire career? Who do you trust to take on the for-profit health insurance companies? How about the person who's been fighting them and fighting for Medicare for all these years? Who do you trust to take on Wall Street? Who do you trust to take on the military-industrial complex? Who do you trust to take on all of the people who are screwing you? I mean, the answer is straightforward and very simple. So, it's Bernie Sanders all day long. So, again, what a wonderful ad. Matt, that was incredible. Already 5 million views on Twitter, over 100,000 on YouTube. This video as well is going to add, I don't know, maybe 100,000 more or so. Let's spread this thing as far as possible, man. I saw there was one tweet that made my day about this. Somebody said, I was for another candidate, and then I watched this video. Now I'm voting for Bernie 2020. Because what they recognized is, oh, he has not, by any stretch of the imagination, gotten fair coverage. And when you look at what he's actually been doing, what he's actually been fighting for, what his record is, what his proposed policies are, nobody comes close. Nobody comes close. He's the only candidate who's for abolishing all student loan debt, abolishing all medical debt. There's so many policies that are unique to him that you and I look at and we go, that one seems like common sense. I mean, why would we want to, burden an entire generation and they're not going to be able to partake in the economy as much as they could otherwise? If you eliminate the student loan debt, if you eliminate the medical debt, we have over 500,000 medical bankruptcies. That's not a thing that exists in other, developed countries. And even other relatively solid Democratic candidates, they don't go that far. They don't go that far. And they're not going to fight for it like he's going to fight for it. He said he's going to take on his own party. He says if Joe Manchin blocks Medicare for all, he's going to be in West Virginia doing rallies against him, either making him vote for it or supporting a primary challenge against him so we can eventually get it. This guy is not going to sleep until he wins for us. And that's crystal clear, and this ad shows that.